One day a man saw an old lady stranded on the side of the road. Even in the dim light of day, he could see that she needed help. So he pulled over in front of her Mercedes and got out. He approached her with a smile on his face, but he could tell that she was worried and afraid. No one had stopped to help for the past hour. She wondered, was he going to hurt her? He didn't look safe. He looked poor and hungry. The young man could see that she was frightened and cold, and so he said, I'm here to help you, ma'am. Why don't you wait in the car where it's warm? And by the way, my name is Brian Anderson. Well, all she had was a flat tire, but for her, an old lady, that was bad enough. Brian crawled under the car looking for a place to put the jack, skinning his knuckles a time or two in the process. Soon he was able to change the flat tire. And as he was tightening up the last of the lug nuts, she rolled down her window and started talking to him. She told him that she was from St. Louis and was only just passing through. Brian just smiled as he closed her trunk. The lady asked how much she would owe him. Any amount would have been all right with her. She imagined all sorts of awful things that could have happened had he not stopped to help. But Brian never thought twice about being paid. This was not a job. It was just helping someone in need. God knows there were plenty of times when others had helped him. He told her not to worry about it, that if she really wanted to pay him back, the next time she saw someone who needed help, to just give that person the assistance that they needed. And think about him. She started her car and drove off. A few miles down the road, the lady saw a small cafe. She went in to grab a bite to eat and to take the chill off before she made the last leg of her journey. It was a dingy-looking little restaurant. The young waitress came over and brought her a clean towel to wipe her wet hair. She had a sweet smile, one that even being on her feet for the whole day hadn't erased. The lady also noticed that the waitress was quite pregnant, but never heard her complain or let the strain change her attitude. The old lady wondered how someone who seemingly had so little could be so kind to a stranger like her. She then remembered Brian, and after she finished her meal, she paid with a $100 bill. The waitress quickly went to get her change, but when she came back, the old lady had slipped right out the door. The waitress looked around, and then she noticed something written on the napkin. There were tears in her eyes as she read the words. Keep the change, please. I have been there too. Recently, someone helped me out, so now I have the chance to do the same. The way to pay me back, if you wish, is to not let this chain of love ever end. And under the napkin were 4 more $100 bills. Well, there were tables to clear and sugar bowls to fill and people to serve. But the waitress was quite happy, and she made it through another day. That night when she got home, she climbed into bed next to her husband, and she was thinking about the gift of money and what the lady had written. How could she have known how much her husband and her needed it, with their baby due next month? She knew how worried her husband was, and as he lay there sleeping next to her, she leaned over and gave him a soft kiss and whispered, everything's going to be all right now. I love you, Brian Anderson. This month, on April 28th, will mark the 15th anniversary of Pay It Forward Day, an idea, a movement that was started in Australia by Blake Beattie, an international management consultant and author, who chose to believe that acts of kindness toward strangers could change the world for the better. Over 86 countries and hundreds of cities now participate in Pay It Forward Day. In this time of trouble, war, and violence, it's genuinely reassuring to know that there are millions of people all over the world who are performing simple acts of kindness every day for a neighbor or a stranger, with the hope that it will ease that person's burden and perhaps encourage them to do the same for someone else. Ralph Waldo Emerson wrote, "You cannot do a kindness too soon, for you never know how soon will be too late." I'm Larry Johnson. Stay well.